Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we're back with another Marvel Snap video. So today, got some data mines from the most recent patch, and as always, we get some information about one of the upcoming seasons. Today we're looking at what is going to be coming in the July season. So as always, this is data mine stuff, so stuff here is subject to change. They could always change any of this stuff sometime between now and release, but for the most part, things usually don't change too much. We did see a change recently where High Evolutionary is now going to be a 4-4 instead of a 4-7, like he was data mined and even advertised at. So things can always change, but usually not a whole lot does change. So let's take a look at what we have here. So Phoenix Force is going to be our season pass card, another X-Men themed season. Really cool card backs, big fan of them. And this card has been redesigned a bit. This is one that was data mined a really long time ago. Used to be a 6-drop, and they've changed it around a bit, and I think the changes they've made are pretty great. So let's take a look at what this card does, as well as the other cards we can expect for the month of July. So Phoenix Force. Phoenix Force is a 5/5 with the ability on reveal, revive one of your destroyed cards and merge with it. This is pretty cool. I actually really enjoy the idea here. It seems cooler than the original Phoenix Force, which was a 6-drop, and that was just kind of reviving something at random. You got a bonus if it was Jean Grey, which is cool and thematic, but this seems much more playable and interesting. One combo I had someone bring up in Twitch chat, which I thought was kind of a neat idea, is you could have a Human Torch. You could blow up your Human Torch with a Carnage or a Killmonger or something. Have that be your only destroyed thing. You play the Phoenix Force on turn 5. Phoenix Force pops in as a Human Torch. You can move it around to get nice and big. So that's kind of a cool idea. I think that's a neat way to approach it. But definitely seems like a pretty powerful card. I believe merging with it merges not only the text, but I think also the stats. I could be totally wrong about that. The text doesn't make it overly clear, but I do think that is likely to be how it's going to work. You bring back one of your cards, it'll probably be that card, but the Phoenix Force will merge onto it, kind of like we've seen with Hulkbuster, and then you'll be able to move it around and have the additional 5 stats. So I like the design of this a lot. I think this is a really fun card. This is a cool card for a season pass, and this gives Destroy a bit of something new to work with, given that they did just take a pretty big hit with Wave getting changed to no longer support the Death Wave shenanigans that Destroy had typically been relying on for a long time. So pretty cool to see something new for them to mess around with and a bit more incentive to blow up some big stuff. So I like this card. I think it's a great pass card, and I'm definitely excited to give it a try when it drops in July. Moving on to our next card here, we have Jean Grey. Can't have the Phoenix Force without Jean Grey joining the party, and she is another one that has been changed from how she was originally. I believe Jean Grey was originally an on reveal, and she made your opponent have to play their next card in her lane. However, it seems she has been changed a bit, though still a very powerful effect. Now, Jean is a 3/3 ongoing. Players must play their first card here each turn if possible. This is really powerful, and this is probably going to end up being pretty relevant, I think, to some lane lock style of decks. It is interesting, though, because this does affect both you and the opponent, so no longer a one-sided effect, so you have to play under this too. However, you can, build your deck around that. I think Thanos is actually going to have a great time with Jean because he has a bunch of cheap one-cost stuff in the deck, so you can very easily play into the Jean lane and then play stuff elsewhere, where other decks that are maybe a bit more top-heavy are probably going to struggle with that a bit if they don't have a lower, more flexible curve. Another interesting thing you could opt to do is just fill up the Jean Grey lane, so that way you don't have to play cards there. I think one strategy we might see with this is using things like Nightcrawler or Jeff, so we can fill the Jean Grey lane so we don't have to play into it ourselves, and then we can always move a card over and play something there on the final turn if we're worried we have to kind of swing that lane against the opponent. I think this is a very strong card. I think it's going to frustrate a lot of people, but I think it's also going to be very fun to play. Like, I think this is going to be a very fun card to build around, and is probably my favorite card of the bunch they're going to be releasing alongside the season pass in July. They are experimenting with not doing every card at Series 5, so it'll be interesting to see which of these cards end up being Series 5 and which don't. But I think I'm definitely going to be picking up Jean Grey. She seems like one of, if not the best cards coming this month outside of the season pass. Next up, we have Mirage. So Mirage is a 2-cost, 2-power on reveal. Copy the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand into your hand. Give it +2 power. So this card immediately kind of reminds me a lot of Cable. Obviously, Cable's taking their bottom card, and he got a little bit worse, given that America Chavez is always on the bottom now. But very similar style of card where you're trying to copy something from your opponent. This obviously gives you a little bit more value and information because we're not taking it from their deck, we're copying it from their hand. And because it's their lowest cost card, I think usually there's a decent chance that it's going to be a card that they want to play during, the next turn or the turn after. So the fact that you can just play the same card, but yours is slightly bigger, maybe that gives you a bit of an advantage. It's a cool effect. I like it. I think it'll be experimented with maybe in a Dino build. I'm not really sure what other deck might want this right now. I don't think it's that crazy. I think it's just kind of an okay card. We've seen people run White Queen, not even for the card advantage, but just for the value of getting information. So maybe Mirage will see play in a similar way, but given 2/2 is a bit underwhelming stats for the cost, I'm not entirely sure how likely that is. You do get to make up a bit with the +2 you're getting on the thing you play, so that helps offset the fact that you're playing an understated card, but will it be good enough? I don't know, because there's going to be a lot of times where you copy a card that is, designed to work with the opponent's deck and doesn't really work with your deck, so unless there's some more support given to copying opponent's cards, I don't know if this one's going to see a ton of play. Maybe with Quinjet there could be something there, but we'll have to wait and see. Cool card, I like the design, but not sure how impactful it's necessarily going to be. Speaking of things I don't think are going to be super impactful, we have Legion. Legion is probably going to make for some really cool highlight moments, but I think is going to generally be a pretty bad card. So what is Legion? He's a 5/7 on reveal, replace each other location with this one. So we haven't really had many ways of duplicating locations. It can happen sometimes, there's that one location that copies another one, but typically it's not very common for you to see more than one of the same location in a game, and I don't think I'm not even sure it's possible to see 3 in the same game. Maybe it is with like Storm shenanigans, I'm not entirely sure, but this is a cool effect that seems like much more of a Timmy fun effect, rather than one that is necessarily going to be very competitive. That's probably for the best. I don't think this is a effect you want to be competitive, honestly. Like I said, though, it is going to lead to some funny moments. Like, I bet you're going to see some funny stuff happen when you slam Legion in a Death's Domain when you're ahead and you copy it to the other locations, and then your opponent's stuff blows up. That's going to be funny. There are going to be other ones that are probably going to be pretty amusing with that too. Let's say it copies the Quantum Realm, so you turn all the locations into Lockjaw shenanigans. It's a fun card. It's going to do amusing things, but I don't think those things are necessarily going to be super powerful. I could be totally wrong about that, but 5/7 is just the 5-drops. There are a lot of really good 5-drops, and this kind of feels like Nick Fury territory, but at least Nick Fury, there's a little bit of purpose with him, and like the shield or dino stuff, sometimes people try him out, but I'm not sure where this card's going to find a home. It's a very unique card, and I think it will be very amusing, but probably not very good. Still cool nonetheless. Interesting to see what people are going to do with it when it comes out. And last but certainly not least, we have Echo. This one for me is kind of tied or maybe just below Jean Grey in terms of, I think, the most powerful card releasing during the July month. So Echo is a 1-cost 2-power. After your opponent plays an ongoing card here, remove its abilities. This is really strong for a 1-drop. This is a very powerful 1-drop. You can play your own ongoings here. You don't have to worry about it affecting your cards, which is nice. think this is the Cosmo counter they were alluding to a while back when people were asking about that. But yeah, this gives you a way to counter Cosmo. This gives you a way to proactively counter ongoing in a lane you're worried about. No more just freely slamming a Devil Dino for the opponent on turn 5 if you have an Echo hanging out there that hasn't been procced yet. A lot of ongoing in the meta right now, especially with Darkhawk. So I think this card is going to be very, very good. It seems like a very powerful effect, and really the only way to stop it is to sacrifice an ongoing card, blow it up with Electra or Killmonger, or just ignore the lane. You just don't play into where Echo is, which that's a lot of power for a 1-drop. So I like this card a lot. It's cool to see more ways to interact, especially with cards like Cosmo that previously it was really, really hard to interact with. So more stuff like that is good, and I think this card is going to be a lot of fun and very powerful. So happy to see it. But that is all the info we have about the upcoming July season with the Phoenix Force. Put the card backs up here on the left too. If you want to see the Infinite card back, it's going to be the Infinite Echo. That looks really cool. I like that one a lot. And the Phoenix Force also looks fantastic. They've really been killing it with the card backs recently, so love to see that. The cosmetics are cool as well. Phoenix Force, definitely the coolest one to me. I'm looking forward to this season. Definitely excited to see what people are going to be able to do with the Phoenix Force, as well as the other cards that will be dropping that month. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Which of these cards are you most excited for? Do you like the Season Pass card? Are you not as much of a fan of it? Let me know in the comments. But that is going to wrap it up for this one. If you enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.